Hello, this is Gary.
Hey Gary, David Ellefson here.
Hey, David, how's it going?
I am doing well, man. How about yourself?
Doing good. It's been a while since I've talked to you. Been about a year or so.
Yeah, and thank you for being patient with us. Everything just kind of kept getting kicked down the road. So
Hey, no problem, man.
thank you for your patience.
No, I understand. I know the last time I talked to you now, you formed a group, you joined a group and called the Lucid and
Right.
released an album. I really enjoyed that album. But
Thank you.
what is the latest on the Lucid?
So we actually have an EP of material that we were going to put out in May around the shows that we ended up having to cancel due to Drew's cancer situation. Fortunately, Drew went in, he had a surgery, and everything is fine. He's 100% cancer free.
Awesome.
He is the luckiest cancer survivor ever. I mean, it was
Wow.
literally one and done, and that's kind of what the doctors thought, but of course you don't know, until they do the procedure and everything. So fortunately, he is good to go, but it did upset everything there through May and June and into July until, he was recovered.
Right.
So at some point, the given all of our schedules of things that are going on, and of course Vin's working every day with Sponge,
Right.
Mike's making Raven records and touring, and I've now got 3 other things going on. So, somewhere in the middle of that, we will find time to do a Lucid show somewhere.
Right. Right.
And the good news is we're really excited because in the background, since earlier this year, we've been working on new material, and it's real. I think it's really good, and and I can't wait for people to hear it. But that's going to be kicked down the road probably till later this year now.
Awesome. Well, that's good. Great news about him, about Drew, and that's something to look forward to. I know you're a busy man. You got all this stuff going on. We're going to talk about all that stuff, by the way. But
Okay. Yeah.
but the Lucid album, that's a pretty fun album to make. I guess was it like a change of pace for you, and how did you adapt to playing different
Yeah.
styles and stuff?
Well, the first song that Drew sent me was the one that became Hair. And that was back in 2020. He was just writing and putting some ideas together. And that's really when we started formulating the group and composing. And, again, we just kind of worked on it quietly in the background, and all of a sudden the day came to release it, which was really just kind of was a nice little quiet moment to push it out. So it got really great attention. And I think from what I saw was even a lot of my fans were really excited about it because it took them back to a lot of the, 90s melodic hard rock.
Yeah.
And as much as I have a lot of fans who want to hear me just play the most brutal and ripping thrash metal,
Right.
there's a lot of layers to my life and what I've done in my career and what I'm capable of doing. So I like to not just be the one trick pony.
Sure. Understand that. And when you approach like a new band or a new song, does your playing style, do you adapt to that playing style, or is it just kind of flow, or how do you work on that bass line and everything?
Yeah, 100%. I approach every musical situation as a new friendship, new opportunities, and never as a supergroup. It just turns out that my friends all happen to be kind of famous for their being in bands too, because
Right.
I think, when you get, as you grow up in the business, your contact list in your phone is that of your friends
Yeah.
who you've grown up with, and they've also had their own successes, and you tend to play with other professionals who who had a similar trajectory in their career.
Right.
Because guys that know how to make records, guys that know how to get in the studio and get on stages and really know what this deal is about. We're no longer just teenagers with stars in our eyes anymore. So,
Yeah.
and then at the same time, I'm never above, working with someone, especially on a producing level and maybe even co-writing with people who maybe haven't had their stay in the spotlight, but have real talent and skill. And I love working with those people too, because let's face it, at one point we were all unknown.
Right. That's right. Um, and when you're doing different projects, I know you've had like a movie and all kinds of stuff going on. I mean, just keeping busy like that. Is that what you like to do, or does it get overwhelming when you have all this stuff going on?
I guess, I don't call myself a workaholic. I do everything out of passion, you know. Um, I might be a playaholic because,
Yeah. Right.
I try to always go back to, they call it playing music, not working music,
Right. Right.
and, for me, everything I do, including this interview, is because I want to do it, and it's fun,
Right.
and it's fun to bring our community together. And, I've fortunately never really had to have a day job, so to speak.
Right.
Um, Even when I've done other business things in the business, it's always been around music. So therefore it's always just been a passion. Um, so, for me, everything that I get involved with is because I want to be there and I want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, and that's a good thing to have different projects and things
Well,
going.
uh, you know, when people call you, they want to hear you say yes. They didn't, we didn't set up this interview so I would say no. We set it up so we, or
and
you,
yeah,
right?
right.
Right.
End of the interview. No, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So when somebody calls and says, "Hey, man, want to write a song? You want to play bass on this? Hey, you want to join up with us? We're going to make an album." They call you because they want you to be in the room with them. So just say yes. Pack your bass, pack a suitcase, go get in the room. You know what I mean? Like, go make it happen. So,
Sure.
to me, music has always been an entrepreneurial thing for me.
Right.
Look, I literally have just finished my 20th record deal,
Wow.
in my career. Yeah, 20 fucking record deals. And so, you know, and then the fact that I got the 20th one, I'm thrilled. You know what I mean? It's like, man, they still want to sign me and release my songs, and so to me, it's a beautiful thing. Obviously, I've been in a bunch of different groups.
Sure.
A couple of them have been pretty successful. A lot of them are just for a moment or two, and that's all they're meant to be. um, and I think in this day and age of the music business, look, I've had my big trip to the moon and back. So, I'm always happy to go to the moon again. But, if it just means going up out of the atmosphere for a little while and coming back down to earth, I'm cool with that too. It's, to me, as long as you get on the rock and roll rocket ship, you're still in the game.
That's right. And speaking of still being in the game, you've got a brand new band. I was just checking out a brand new song. Tell me about this brand new
Right.
band that you've got.
Dieth, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes, that's it.
No, no. Well, there again, my friend, Opus from Dead by Wednesday emailed me one day and introduced me to Guilherme, who was the guitar player in Dieth and who was formerly from Entombed AD. And he said, "Hey, the singer of Entombed just passed away, and Guilherme has been working on some new songs and wanted to start working on some things. I thought you guys might get along." So that was how it happened. Again, just random friend in the universe
Right.
makes an introduction. And I said, yeah, why not? So I go in the studio, I play bass on it. I send it back. I really like the song. Got to know Mihal, the drummer, who was formerly from the band Decapitated. And next thing you know, like, I'm really in the death metal world with like real guys, and when I was over in Europe back in April, I said, listen, we're all sick and tired of the Apple iPhone Foursquare playthrough videos. Let's get in the room and go shoot a real music video.
Right.
And so Guilherme pulled it all together, and we went up to Gdańsk, Poland, shot the video. And, we were getting we wanted to scratch the itch, back in July. So we said, you know what, fuck it, let's put the video out. So
Right.
we did. And man, it blew up, and it really reacted, and so yeah, new band, New album in the works now, and thrilled to have another musical avenue opened with these
Sure.
guys.
Sure. The song rocks, man. It's heavy, pretty heavy, and pretty solid song. It's a cool video, and yeah, I know the
Thank you.
fans, man. Uh, the
Well, and
song,
I
yeah,
think
is
I
awesome.
think I think in any look, I'm lucky in thrash metal. I had a career with Megadeth with songs that really everybody could like. They weren't just specific to the thrash metal fan, right?
Right.
It was very wide. I feel the same way with Dieth, that the song, as heavy as it is, and it's technically in a death metal genre, it's also got real charisma and melody to it. So
Right.
if you aren't a fan of super heavy music, it's still something that has a melody you can walk away with. And to me, that's always, to me, I grew up with melody, and I
Right.
grew up hearing Neil Diamond and, you know, um, Motown records and stuff on the radio, even early, 70s rock and roll. To me, there was always melody, and that's because that's what you walk away humming. And so to me, I think that's one of the fun challenges in this really heavy music is putting the melody in there so that it's something that you can make it attractive to people that aren't just already familiar with the genre.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think it draws you in. I mean, it's a real powerful song, and in the Hall of the Hanging Serpent. What's that song about exactly?
Well, on the website, we put up a description. In fact, Guillermo does a pretty good job of giving that description of just it's everything from cancel culture to the vultures of the music business
Yeah.
to the hanger-oners, the people that just want to sort of latch on to some piece of you or and what you're working on, just so that they can somehow be validated through that. Um, and that's why the hanging serpents are the hanger-oners. You
Right.
know what I mean? And the serpents are the ones that try to basically come along and just suck your blood.
Yeah.
And obviously entertainment is full of that kind of stuff because there's a lot of people that just want to be around it. And sometimes don't have any place around it. And you're always kind of shaking trying to get the gum off your shoe of some of those people.
That's right.
Um, and it just is, so, and at the same time, look, you want people to like your music. So, you try not to be exclusive either. You try to be inclusive
Yeah.
and be something that's open to everybody. But, I think, one of the things I've learned is to really lock my world down, and you know, not be so available, be more exclusive, and yet at the same time, in doing so, I'm as involved in probably more things now musically than I ever have been, and in the past that used to piss certain people off too, and it's
Yeah.
like, well, if we're not working and making music over here, then I'm going to go over there and make music with those guys. And
Sure.
to me, the creative wheel needs to keep turning.
Well, that's what you do, and that's what you got to do. You know.
No,
Um. And the video though at the end of the video is pretty cool. I noticed that you on the back of your bass you had a message. Was that the message for these serpents that are out there trying to bite you?
it,
Right.
it sure was. It sure was.
I'm just saying, yeah. But
No,
yeah,
and you find out who your friends are and you find out who your friends aren't pretty fucking quick,
yeah,
when the shit hits the fan, because everybody wants to be around you, when you're picking up your Grammy.
sure,
And, look, you're never on top all the time. Your life ebbs and flows, your career ebbs and flows, all of that. And, you know, I've been fortunate enough to be a career musician, and
right,
I've had to go with the ebbs and flows of, you know, the good, the bad, and the otherwise, sometimes from within, sometimes from without, the early 90s, just when we thought everything was going awesome, Seattle music showed up,
Right.
and no one saw that coming.
Right.
And, so there's all kinds of internal and external forces at work. And, I think the trick is to be galvanized to be able to withstand the storms and, come out the other side and still keep rocking.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's all part of it. So, I mean, you've been doing this for like almost 40 years, right? Professionally.
Right.
And so I
Yeah.
know you've had ups and downs and things like that. So what, what's really your motivation, I guess, that really keeps you on days that maybe you've heard a lot of stuff or you feel a certain way? What is it that says you got to keep going?
I can't figure out anything else to do besides this.
So,
It's the honest to God truth.
that's it. Huh?
I swear to God, I mean, I went back to Minnesota this last week, right?
Right.
And I was hired in to give a talk, and they asked me to put my high school band Taz back
Oh,
together,
yeah.
which we did to do a reunion show. And it was so fun. And, that I just sat there for a while and went, here I am in one of the most beautiful parts of the world. The grain looks beautiful. There's blue skies, green acres, lovely, kind, sweet people. Um, and there I am in the midst of all of this all the agriculture playing rock and roll,
Right.
and I was always the odd man out, the guy who beats my own drum,
Right.
and, still am, all these years later, 40 years after leaving there, that's still what I'm doing. And, the truth of it is that seems to be certainly one of the reasons, the good Lord put me on the planet.
Yeah.
And so why deny the gift? Keep it going,
I totally agree with that. I sure do. Um, and with all these projects and things going on, are there some artists that you've thought about? I'd really like to work with this guy. Is there some of those kind of artists you'd like to do something with?
I've worked with a lot of them over the years. I've grown up with a lot of them. They're my friends. Obviously one that would have been awesome is Eddie Van Halen, but that
Sure.
wasn't meant to be.
Right.
And he's my hero. And I think it's important that you always pay respect to your heroes. Because they're still in some way elevated above you.
Of
Whether it
course.
was Queen to Kiss to Van Halen, whoever it was, that I grew up with, those people are still an inspiration to me. And when I go see them perform, I look at them the same way I looked at them when I was just a teenager. I go, man, I wish I could be like them, and in some ways that dream has come true for me. But at the same time, there's still a few years ahead of me, and I go, what? They still have more experience than me. They've still seen things I didn't get to see, and they live to tell about it. And yet at the same time, when you watch the Queen movie, you watch The Dirt by Motley Crue,
Right.
we're all in the same band.
Right.
And to some degree, names, dates, places, some of the circumstances may be different, but the truth of it is, 4 or 5 guys trying to get along, people, I should say, trying to get along in a rock group. It's all the same.
Right.
And I think that's one of the funny things that I find comfort in, is to know that, it's the same journey to the top. And as if that isn't hard enough, trying to stay at the top is probably even harder. And that's why I think sometimes you have to accept your place when things in life and in music and in the universe ebb and flow. I've learned to just kind of let go and just go with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. So what's like a motto that you've heard that you really try to stick by and stand by?
It's one that I came up with, which is make music I like with people I like.
That's yeah. That's good. When you've got a lot of options there, You know, when when you got the guys calling you up and saying, say you were talking about that earlier. You know, when somebody calls you up and says, "I want you to play on my album," well, that's because
Yeah.
you know you're an awesome player. They wouldn't be calling you. You know, if that's something that that you've got
Yeah.
going on, right?
And everything I'm involved in, I'm being creative in a way I like with people I like. Every single one of them.
You know, it always seems to help when you get along with the guys you're playing with, right? I don't know. Call me crazy, but that seems to work better, don't
Yeah. I mean, look, I've been in situations with people that were just impossible, and somehow you just learn to make it work. Um, Sometimes the success becomes the golden handcuffs, so you just have to make it work. And unfortunately, in those situations, what happens is you often start to compromise your own morality, your own beliefs, your own integrity, because you just go, well, if we can just get to the other side of the ocean before we sink, we'll be okay, you know? And then you get to the other side and the phone rings and they said, "Hey, we got one more ocean for you to cross."
you?
So
Yeah.
you decide to do it again. And, the truth of it is sometimes, the reward of the music and being on stage and the success and being able to be comfortable in a livelihood, those are all factors. You can't just base it on any one or two things. And especially when you're in the music business,
Right.
If it were just always about having fun, well, you know,
Yeah.
there'd be a lot of people working day jobs while having fun, but when you're in it, to win it and make music your business, I guess kind of like my book said, you also have to put your big boy pants on and realize, it isn't all going to go your way. And I think that's the hardest thing, is learning how to compromise and learning which battles are the ones that you want to win and which hill it is that you're willing to die on.
Right.
And, oftentimes most of them, they seem like mountains, but they're really just molehills. They're really not that big of a
That's
deal.
true. I can
And
relate.
maybe that's just my upbringing in the Midwest, as I learned to just kind of maybe be a little more go with the flow with that stuff.
Yeah.
In fact, I was talking to my friend Greg back in Minnesota, and he eventually became a lawyer because he's a good fighter. He's a good arguer and he can win a lot of arguments. And he and I used to have many arguments being in a band together. And, now here we are all these years later, kind of back in a band together again.
Right.
Taz, it's like, well, shit, I guess we're kind of a band again if we want to go play.
Right.
And, the reality of it is now we look at it and go, most of this shit ain't worth arguing over. You know what I mean? It's like, just get on stage and make people happy. And,
That's right. That
and just
yeah.
so but that comes often with when you're young and you're there trying to win the battle, and you got stars in your eyes and you're still trying to get up the proverbial hill of success. It all seems so important. You know what I mean? And I'm also of the belief that it's like, if it's meant to be, it'll happen.
Right.
And if it's not meant to be, then you'll be redirected in your life.
I agree.
And and that doesn't mean you can't still make music and do things, but maybe it's just not going to be on a different plane and on a different level.
Sure. It's like there's a time and place for everything, things change, and sometimes you have to go this way instead of going that way.
Exactly.
But yeah, I know those situations arise, and those molehills and the mountains you're talking about. I think sometimes it's like, yeah, I make those mountains myself. I think about stuff that's not that big a deal, but I think that's what everybody deals with. I think that's what's so cool about interviews is people can go, you know what, he's going through what I'm going through. I can relate to that guy, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, people like when their rock stars are human, but they still want them to be their rock stars too.
Right.
And, that's even me, you know what I mean? It's like, it's fun to meet my heroes, but then it's fun to go out into the audience, even if we're playing on a show together, and watch my heroes go be the freaking heroes that I always knew they were, and that's important to, even for me, to still be a fan. And I think that's probably the other thing, maybe the other answer to your question is remaining a fan, remain teachable, always have a little bit of, awe in your wonder, and never feel like, it's completed, that it's like, there's always still a little more that I could still do. And that's I think a big driving force for me.
Yeah. Well, that's cool that you say that. After all these years, you have all these, albums, and you've accomplished a lot. You know, so I guess if you're, able to listen to somebody else, that's always a good thing, rather than going, I know everything. Don't talk to me. I
Yeah.
know this and that. But yeah. But what I think is very cool, and I know you do too, is the fans. You've had fans for all these years that follow you. They don't give a rip about what happens about this or that. They're your fans for life. How do you feel about those fans?
That is a blessed position to be in. And I'm thankful for that every single day, because, at the end of the day, we're all human. I've stumbled and fallen. I've run the big race. I mean, nobody's perfect. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Yeah, that's
Nobody
right.
is. I mean,
Right.
I remember years ago having to like leave a huge tour in Europe to go home to go to rehab and get clean. You know what
Right.
I mean? And that's just, was what it was. And I had to take that moment to do it, because it set me up then for the rest of my life to have a great life and great career. And, but it's just something that had to happen at that time. And, there's various things where sometimes you have to make lineup changes in your organization, and it sucks, but you got to just stop everything, shut it down, and make the change, because it has to be made for the betterment of the group and the long term. And so it is what it is. It's again, it's none of it is really all that important. People become your fans because of what you do, and they just want to hear you go frickin' rock the stages, man. And they love buying your records. They love what you do. And so I feel like it's my role is to just keep doing that.
Hey, that's great, man. That's awesome. Um, and speaking of keeping doing that, now there's a talk to me about this the Kings of Thrash. What's that all
Yeah.
about?
So Kings of Thrash is me and Jeff Young, and we are going out to perform the Killing Is My Business and So Far So Good So What records. And our special guest on the tour is Chris Poland, who
Cool.
of course was on the Killing record.
Right.
Jeff was on the So Far So Good So What record. And, the idea started brewing last year when I was at an autograph show out in New Jersey, and people were bringing me the Killing Is My Business record just left and right. They're just bringing and all the different remixes. And I thought, when the final Kill came out back in 2018, I really made a push that we go out and perform that record, even if it was just one night. Just go and play the record top to bottom.
Right.
And while it got some attention, it just never really, it never happened. So, to me, I think I'm pretty in touch with the fans, and I keep my ear to the ground of what they like and what they're asking for. And, to me, that is the cult sleeper classic record of the catalog.
Right.
And it's come of age now, and people want to hear it. And, it's so I knowing that it may never ever get performed live again, I stepped up and said, all right, I'm going to go play it. And,
that's the way to do it.
It's kind of like Roger Waters going out and doing his Pink Floyd songs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
He does stuff that the other one didn't, and so I don't look at it as really anything different than that.
That's awesome. I know fans are excited about that. So what's the dates on the tours for that?
We're doing just kind of 4 initial shows to just kind of get it off the runway and get it up into the air. And those are 4 West Coast shows of October 12, 13, 14, 15. So it's San Diego, Phoenix, Las Vegas, and Los Angeles.
Wow, that's so cool. I wish I could be there. I'm in L.A., Lower Alabama. I'm
Oh, okay.
not
Well,
on the other side of it.
Yeah. I mean, part of propping this up was just to run it up the flagpole, see who's going to salute it, and it seems like it's had an overwhelming 2 thumbs up, and people are asking for it everywhere. Promoters are calling all around the world, and it looks like this is, going to be something that that's going to work. Just people want to see it.
Sure.
They want to hear it. These are songs and some deep cuts, of course, because we're playing the albums in their entirety.
Wow.
And it's meant as a total celebration. It's nothing more than that. It's not out of any ill will. It's completely. I mean, look, we're all 3 of us, me, Chuck, and Jeff. Me, Jeff, and Chris. We're part of the legacy.
That's right.
These are records that we are a part of. So we're here to celebrate them with the fans, and it's something that is meant to be held in high esteem with the whole legacy.
That's a great way to show fans that you care is bringing that to them.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really cool, man.
Yeah.
Now, so you got that going on. You're talking about the Lucid and the Dieth. That's an album in the future? Do you have any idea when that will be kind of completed or anything like that?
That looks like that'll be a 2023.
Okay.
For Dieth. Yeah.
Oh.
So.
And
yeah.
So you got any other things you're working on, side projects or anything going on that we need to find out about?
When is this interview coming out?
Probably tomorrow, I'd say.
Okay.
Or I could wait.
I could wait. I do have one other thing, but because of the timing of it,
yeah.
Let's circle back around and we can talk about it. It'll give us a reason to talk again in another 6-7 weeks or so.
Hey, that'll be really cool. Wow, I'm looking forward to that. Well, I can tease people and say there's some kind of big announcement coming, right? And or can I do that?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
Just say there's something.
And here's the thing: it's coming out. I don't know when you're going to pop this out, but I think they're going to tease something out on my Facebook page tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern. So,
okay.
Depending on when you push this out, if you're pushing out first thing in the morning, don't worry about it. But if you're going to put it out a little later, that little teaser thing will come out. And I have not even seen it yet, so I don't even know exactly what it is, but it's the teaser to start the campaign and the setup. So
awesome. Well, I'm excited to see what that is.
Yeah.
Well, tell me this, and I'll let you go. As far as the future, what are some things that you'd like to accomplish when you're looking into the future and you're thinking, I want to do this, I want to do that before I call it quits? What would you say you'd like to do?
Spend some more time at the beach.
Hey, that's always good. That's always good. An escape from all the drama.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I'm doing everything else, so for me, that's it. I want to spend some more time at the beach.
Right. That's exactly right. Well, man, I appreciate you talking to me again, and I'm excited about all the stuff you got going on. Always cool to talk to you, and I appreciate you, man.
Cool. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it, buddy.
All right. Well, take care.
See you, dude. Bye.
All right, bye.